All right, Bang Bang. Today is Tuesday. It is March 22nd. Welcome to the Dog Walk presented by Barstool Sports. Here we are, Chief Eddie, Tinfoil Tuesday, World History Wednesday on a Tuesday. You name it.
Is it world history, or are we talking about current events?
Yeah, well, I was rolling through all our whole catalog.
I gotcha. Yeah,
and current events. You got me to it. The news, the history in general, U.S. history, just the whole mishmash.
Kind of whatever we feel like.
Exactly.
Yeah,
we got it all here on Tuesday's Dog Walk. How you doing? How you feeling?
Gotta be honest.
You could be very honest.
I'm burnt out.
Yeah.
Burnt out. March Madness takes a lot out of you. And then I got home last night. I was exhausted. Couldn't fall asleep. I was staring at the ceiling until the last time I remember looking at my phone. It was like 3:17. Always how it is. That's a lock. Yeah.
You know, it was nice, though. Had everyone in town this weekend. It was nice to get our hands on some ice-cold Miller Lights.
Yeah, fridge full of them here at Barstool HQ. They're stocked well at the Barstool Bar, so both places we spent all of our time, we were taken care of. That's what I was drinking. Great tasting, less filling, only 96 calories. You know, I am trying to... You've gotten really trim. You've gotten really trim the last, 6 months or so.
I wouldn't say really trim.
Dude, it's a lot.
But that's not a... But I
however you want to put it,
I appreciate it though.
It's noticeable and it's a big number.
Thank you.
And I'm been trending the wrong way, and I decided I can't get myself in trouble with these other things. I got to be exclusively Miller Lite because it's low in carbs, low in calories, great tasting. That's going to be my beer for the summer. It's my new skinny water.
Yeah, of course. It's always been the beer of the summer. It's always been the beer of Chicago. So. You know what I like about the Barstool Bar too? It has it gives you 10 beers in a bucket.
Oh, that's
it's got
generous.
What I mean? It's got the wide trough.
I think it's a trough.
Trough, maybe. Yeah. It's got the wide one.
Well, it's like an oval.
Yeah. And it just looks so pretty in those.
It really does.
So great.
It's great. And then, you normally you get 6?
Yeah.
In the traditional buckets.
Some people give you 5. Some give you less. Some give you 4. You know what I mean? It doesn't.
That's one of those.
Just depends.
That's one of those bar tricks. I feel like where they're like, "Hey, the bucket is this," but they don't necessarily tell you how much is in the bucket, and you're like, it's not as great as a deal as I thought.
No, exactly. So, go grab some Miller Lite. 96 calories, great taste. Go to MillerLite.com/redline to find the delivery options near you. Or you can pick up some Miller Lite pretty much anywhere they sell beer. It's Miller time. Celebrate responsibly. Miller Brewing Company, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, 96 calories and 3.2 carbs per 12 ounces. All right, so like we said, March Madness, and we kind of have a March Madness topic in that vein because...
A legend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Legitimately a legend.
Big time, yeah.
And... but not a good topic here. Not for a good thing right now. So
we got to restart the hashtag. Hashtag free Brittney. And that's where we are. I think she spells it differently than Brittney Spears, but Brittney Griner. And it's one of those things that I hadn't really been following it. But I remember seeing the headline maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago that she was arrested in an airport in Russia basically for having vape cartridges. So it's frisk anybody basically walking down the street in Chicago, and a lot of people just carry around a vape at all times.
Do you know if it was vape with marijuana or vape?
Yes, it was. Okay, it was. So they the report initially was, and I wanted to get that right. So because the official report was hashish oil, and I was like, what the fuck is hashish oil? And so I heard of hashish. I have a hard time even saying it. Hashish oil being used as a hair care product. So I'm like, did she get arrested and detained in some bullshit hair care thing? And no, it was actually she had, but it's just she had a vape pen at the airport. And it's very common, the WNBA players don't make a ton of money. I think and she's one of the best. I think she's a 8-time All-Star. She won 1 or 2 national championships at Baylor.
I'm not sure, but she was dominant. She
was unbelievable.
Yeah.
She's has to be easily the most dominant women's player of all time, right?
At least I haven't followed much. I haven't followed much since since college, but
yeah. But I mean, I can only name 3 women's players, and she's like probably at the top.
Like
of the list.
Taurasi's up there.
Sue Bird, Diana Taurasi, Rebecca Lobo going way back.
For sure.
But it's like Griner because she's 6'8". Could she was throwing down dunks. Obviously, Candace Parker too, Chicago girl. But she she's unbelievable. She's won 2 gold medals. She's 31. That's another number that like shocked me. Like time is just flying by. I feel like she was just at Baylor. I'm pretty sure she's like an 8-time WNBA All-Star, a big deal. But my point going back is
she won 1 championship.
1 championship. Yeah. Okay.
One in the WNBA, one in the got one in college,
and then 2 gold medals.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. And so the thing with her and many WNBA players is that the minimum salary in the WNBA is like $60,000 a year, and the most you can make is $228,000. So what a lot of the women do is in the off season, the WNBA, they play usually like into the summer. They go and play overseas. So it's very common for them to be traveling around different countries. So she's coming back through Russia in the airport, and you can see it in like the security cam footage. Like they're going through her bag, and you can see like their equivalent of a TSA agent pull out like stuff out of her bag, and she gets arrested. You know what I didn't know about this story?
No.
That it was completely quiet for weeks. That happened on February 11th. It wasn't reported in the news until like March 5th.
Really?
So she had been detained for weeks, and it wasn't reported. And then it got out like after Russia went into Ukraine. So it became...
It wasn't not reported because people didn't know about it, or just like
I couldn't get to the bottom of that.
Because if someone's detained, it's always a story, especially someone with her profile.
Yes, but it's also in Russia, so you just never fucking know what the truth is over there. And so she was like I said, detained February 11th, gained like national headlines in America on March 5th. So that's a significant period of time to just be sitting in jail. And the scary thing about it is that as soon as Russia invaded Ukraine, it moved away from being just a criminal justice issue and into a political issue. Mm-hmm. So, because now it's like, hey, like we have this high profile American on drug charges. And just the other day, they had a judge come out and said, we're not even going to hear this trial until May 19th. So now you're talking over 3 months in a Russian prison for an American for having, I don't know, like a tiny little, like what, I don't even know. Like I'm such a fucking square when it comes to,
I have no idea.
To drugs. But like, I would imagine, like I've seen a vape pen. It can't be more than an ounce, right? Like in a particular cartridge. Even if she had 10 cartridges, who fucking cares? It's like, it's vape oil.
Yeah.
And, but she's over there, and that was some of the speculation about why it wasn't getting attention. And it was like, well, what is the best way to get her out? Is it to do it quietly and diplomatically, like behind closed doors? Or is it to like stomp your feet and be like, and point a finger at it and like, hey, Russia, like get our girl out of here, like get her out. And so I think that was part of the strategy. Again, like there's been mixed messages from our own State Department on that, but she's over there and they're like asking to like confirm her well-being, and Russia's like, she's fine. And like, well, we don't know that she's fine. So she has not been in touch with her family. Like, so her agents, the WNBA, it almost reminds me a little bit of what happened with that tennis star that we covered in China, where it's just like no one's heard from her. Well, Brittney Griner is an American citizen, high profile American citizen who has not been heard from by anyone, any American, since February 11th. That is insane. So they have like similar to us, where it's like, if you can't afford a lawyer, the court will appoint you one here. They do the same thing in Russia. So the official statement from the Russian government on this is that her Russian legal team, like state-appointed Russian legal team, has met with her, quote, multiple times. So to me, that sounds, if you think of Russia the way that I do, that's twice. Okay, so like she's charged on February 11th, She's probably given a lawyer that day, and then she's probably met with them at least, one other time. Who knows? Maybe more, but like, there's no progress on this, on getting her out or getting her, her agent hasn't been in touch with her. She's married. Her wife has not been in touch with her. Like there's just no like discourse and no dialogue between an American citizen and the State Department of the United States. And they had this deputy, I can't remember his name, but deputy State Department official being like, hey, like they're actually in violation, Russia is, of something called the Vienna Convention. So I feel like everybody's heard of like the Geneva Conventions. The Vienna Convention is something that was signed in 1961. It's an international treaty that defines a framework for the diplomatic relations between two countries. So, and it covers all sorts of different things, but one of them is, if you ever heard of like diplomatic immunity?
Yeah.
Like you could be an ambassador somewhere and like, I don't know, accidentally kill a kid and just be like, well, it was an accident. I'm a diplomat, so you just kind of get off. Like, it's hard to like charge these.
I didn't know it went that deep.
Yeah, I mean, that's an exaggeration, but like, yes, like there's been instances where like people should absolutely be in jail for various crimes, and they're like, well, I have diplomatic immunity, so sorry. And but under this Vienna Convention, there is like a structure of laws where it's like, hey, if you arrest a citizen of our country, they have rights to speak to their consulate. So we have our people in Russia. We have State Department people that are still there that work on these sorts of things. Like if you're trapped for whatever reason, this was like a big thing that was happening a little bit in Afghanistan. But when you're pulling out and you're trying to get out of a particular place, Ukraine also, where it's like we have our consulate and our embassy. And if you need to get a visa approved, or you need to get something's wrong with your passport or whatever it is, you can seek, because those buildings are technically United States soil. So like as soon as you cross into those gates, like you're no longer in whatever country, you're technically in America. Okay, so you are supposed to, if you're detained and arrested in a foreign country, whatever it may be, and it doesn't matter if you're who is the woman, Amanda Knox,
yeah.
So like you would have, even if you're arrested in Italy for fucking murder, you're allowed to have contact. Like you don't get to like just go and claim asylum necessarily, but you can, speak with the lawyers in America, speak with American representatives, and try to get like due process. And it's, you kind of not a safety net, but like a lifeline. So you're not just in this foreign country where you don't speak the language and you're arrested forever without, knowing even what happened, right? Mm-hmm. So that is what they're denying her right now for months on end, that she has not been able to speak to an American lawyer, an American representative, and the State Department is like, we urge the Russians to allow us to speak with Brittney, and we're trying to work for her, immediate release back, her safe and immediate release. Well, it's like, you urge? Like you have like no, especially these days where it's like they could just be like, you know what, fuck that. Okay, like Russia, meaning like we're already sanctioned for fucking everything because of this Ukraine situation. What more can they do to us about one citizen that we have arrested on trumped up drug charges? Probably nothing. So it's like, hey, yeah, keep your ass in jail for another 2 months, sweat it out, because like we don't care. And so now it has become kind of like a political issue. So Hillary Clinton was like retweeting it. It's become like this talking point, because the other issue is, of course, like, Brittney Griner is a lesbian, and Russia has like very kind of strict, I would go as far to say like homophobic laws on the books about, gay people. And so there's like people who are worried about her well-being in that country, since there's widely reported instances over the last 10 years where the homosexual community is persecuted in Russia. So it's like, if it was like a normal, I shouldn't say normal, but like you or me, okay, we got arrested for something over there for the same thing, like it wouldn't be necessarily as like a dire situation where we're concerned about just how we're being treated. Mm-hmm. but because they have like such a, like a well-documented run of mistreating, and that's probably a generous way to say it, homosexuals, like it's like this is actually kind of scary that we we need like confirmation that she's okay and not being abused and who knows, solitary confinement, like who knows what they could be doing. Nobody knows because nobody can get in touch with her. So like that's the part that's like really kind of fucked up, that they won't even like allow a Zoom or anything to just be like, hey, like I'm Brittney Griner, I need to communicate with my wife in America to let her know that I'm okay. That has not been allowed to happen. And now you bump this prison sentence, or this date back to May 19th. And it's like, who knows what they could rule then? The maximum sentence for this charge is 10 years.
It's insane.
Insane. And again, like, I don't know.
Not surprising.
Not necessarily. See, like, I kind of was surprised, actually.
Were you? I just kind of feel like they play by their own rules, man.
They do, but it's like, it's weed. And like, well documented. I'm not like a big weed guy, other than like
I just bet like all their maximums are high, and then they just pick and choose when they want to. You know what I mean? Like I bet everything's like every law that they have like a yes.
Yeah, and it also feels like they could have something on the books, and Putin could come in and be like, "Fuck that book."
Yeah, probably.
Yeah,
probably.
And or the lawyer could go up there and argue a perfect case to get her out. And if the judge just is like a Putin lackey, he'd be like, lock her up. So like you don't know. And so it's becoming increasingly a political story when you would think originally it was just criminal justice, but the fact that she had been in prison, a Russian prison, for 3 weeks before anyone knew about it was crazy. And now we're looking at May 19th, so 3 months, plus a little bit, call it 10, what would that be? 13 weeks in jail. Like, that's a long time to be in jail for basically nothing.
And she's 6'9".
Yeah.
Like, that can't
What kind
be,
of cots do they have over there for 6'9" people?
Like, that can't be good. And I just looked at I just pulled up her Wikipedia, and it said, the Public Monitoring Commission stated that the only objective problem with Griner's detention has turned out to be the basketball player's height. The beds in the cell are clearly intended for a person of lesser height. So,
well, yeah, that. So she can't be comfortable. Yeah. She has to be scared out of her mind. At minimum,
I can't believe she doesn't talk to anyone.
She's not allowed to.
I didn't know that. That's crazy.
Yeah. So that was like the update. Like her wife has posted at least two Instagram posts being like, we got to get her out, this and that. Like, our thoughts are with her. We love you. Blah, blah,
Sorry,
blah.
did you say her wife was with her, or was she?
It was like an Instagram, like, we're with you.
Okay,
like,
no. But I know what you meant by that. But at the beginning of the show,
I think she was, as far as I know, she was traveling like solo.
Okay.
Like, she was coming, like she was playing internationally, which they all do, and she, and I don't know where she was coming from or going to. But she was detained at the airport, and she could have been coming from a country that it was legal. You land, you get on your connecting flight or whatever, and you're popped. And you could make a reasonable claim that perhaps she was targeted too. It's like, it's Brittney Griner, lesbian, American, athlete. Let's pick her up. Let's give her a little bit.
You see her walking in an airport. Oh.
Stands out.
Yeah.
6'9", woman. Yep. 6'9", anybody.
Yep.
So, so it's a bad situation. It's one of those things where it's like you try to walk through and figure out, like at least in my head, I try to like find like, well, if this happens, that'll be good. It's hard to be like, wow, there's no levers to pull as far as levers left to pull as far as like sanctions are concerned. So it's like, hey, like, let her out or we're going to do this, right?
It's an ultimate shit sandwich situation for her.
Right. And then what if they have like, what if Russia comes back and was like, yeah, we'll release Brittney Griner if you release, a spy that you detained. It's like, well, that's not a 1-for-1.
No.
So then it's like, then now you're like.
I've seen people insinuate that too, that's what they want.
I wouldn't be surprised. I would not be surprised.
Pundits is, on Twitter.
Talking heads.
Yes, talking heads.
I find it so hard to Oh, on Twitter?
Yeah.
Like the Blue Check Brigade?
Yeah.
I find it, I have a really hard time figuring out who to trust.
No, it's impossible.
It is absolutely
I can't even remember who it was. And
Yeah.
I don't know if it was someone who talks out of their ass or someone who's real.
I think they all talk out of their ass.
Yeah.
You know? And, which, you know, I do that at times too, obviously. But it's just, you know, it's impossible to know. I don't know anything. I don't know anything for sure. And this is one of those situations where it's like, well, maybe they did, you know, like I said in the beginning, like they're not making it super public because they don't want to have like heightened political tensions. They just want to like do the lawyers, go through criminal justice. We'll get you out. Then they invade Ukraine, and it's like, well, now what? So very, very difficult situation.
Yeah, it's bad, man.
Yeah.
I didn't.
So we got to free Brittney.
Yeah, I didn't know she was so closed off like that.
Yeah, and again, like I can't imagine, you know, like we just have seemingly better human rights in general here. Like our prisoners, you know, they're treated fairly well. Like if there's this show called, I think it was on a show called Dirty Money on Netflix. I'm pretty sure that was it. Maybe it was Rotten. Have you heard of either one of those? Have you seen either one of those?
I've heard Dirty Money.
Okay.
It was on Netflix.
So it was either Dirty Money or Rotten, and I'll never buy jarred garlic ever again. Did you see that? Did you see this episode or no?
No.
So, you know, they really work. This came from China, and they showed like China is like a big agricultural country too, and they produce a ton of garlic that is peeled and put in jars. So they showed how they like peel it. They basically just bring in like truckloads daily of garlic. And they, you know, show them breaking it apart, peeling it with their thumb to the point that their thumbnails like just peel off. Like so they lose their thumbnail, and then when they lose their thumbnail, because they'll do the thing where they put the garlic clove in their mouth and suck off the rest of like that flaky skin, and then put it in the basket or whatever, and then it gets taken away and packaged up and sent to America. And it's like to go to the grocery stores. I saw that. I'm like, and I love garlic. I put it on fucking everything when I'm making soup or steak or whatever. And it's like, well, fresh garlic only forever. Yeah. Like you can only, you know, because otherwise you don't know like where it came from. But my point being is like, we have just more like seemingly more humane justice system, at least once you're in prison, compared to some of these other countries where it's just like, it looks like kind of maybe in America 150 years ago, where it's like it's actually just a work camp. Yeah. You know, where like, hey, you're peeling garlic until you die. You're breaking rocks until you die. So Russia has a long history of human rights violations under Putin. So to say like, oh well, she's probably just doing fine, waiting out in this Russian jail.
Can't say that for sure.
Can't say that for sure, and probably can reasonably lean towards like it's objectively like way worse than it would be here.
Mm-hmm. And it's one of those things, I know we say this, I don't want to say a lot, but we do say it sometimes. It's like, oh, is this, how much press is this getting? How many people are covering it? I feel like it's not enough.
Yeah. And again,
I really do.
Yeah. And I do too. Cause it's like, you need to, cause it'd be one thing if it was like an Amanda Knox thing where she's like wanted for murder. Yeah. But it's like, you're going just getting on an airplane and you have a couple of vape cartridges. Like, what are we talking about? Uh-huh. Or even like a Nate Newton. Okay. Remember like when Nate Newton got popped in Texas?
No, I don't.
You don't remember who he is, right?
No.
He was a guard for like those Dallas Cowboy teams in the early 90s. Okay. And he had like, this story says that he got sentenced to 30 years in jail, I think, but he got out. But he was making $75,000 per drug deal, and he got pulled over with like garbage bags full of weed in the back of his truck, like hundreds of pounds of weed. And so it's not even that. It's just like clearly for her own personal use, and she's leaving the country, and they pop her, and it's like, now it's just like you're in jail indefinitely. That has to be like the scariest thing in the world, and bullshit. Yeah, you know, like make her pay a fine, make her do whatever. It's clearly not to distribute, clearly not like corrupting your youth or whatever, however you want to say. It's like her own personal use. Doesn't matter. Now she's just in big trouble.
Yeah. Well, hopefully she gets out soon.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens in May, right?
May 19th. Yeah. So we'll be on the lookout for an update on that. And
I hope she's doing well.
Yeah.
Needless to say.
Yep.
But all right then, Chief. Thank you. There's the breakdown on everything that's going on that we know of with Brittney Griner. Thanks everybody for listening. We'll see you all tomorrow.